Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Janavalabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya 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 Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter 29, entitled Explanation of Devotional Service, text number 4. Kaleshvara Rupasya Parasham Cha Parasyate Swarupam Bhatakurvanti Yadito Kushalam Janaha Kaleshvara Rupasya Parisham Cha Parasyate Swarupam Bhatakurvanti Yadito Kusalam Janaha Kaleshvara Rupasya Paresham cha parasyate. Svarupam bhatakurvanti. Yadetu kusalam janaha. Kaleshvara rupasya. Paresham cha parasyate. Svarupam bhatakurvanti. Yatitoho kushalam janaha. Kaleshvara rupasya. Pareshram cha parasyate. Svarupam bhatakurvanti. Yadeto kushalam janaha. Okay. Kalasya of time. Ishvara rupasya, a representation of the Lord. Paresham of all others. Cha and Parasya, the chief. Te of you. Swarupam, the nature. Bhata, oh, Kurvanti, perform. Yat hetoho, by whose influence? Kusalam, pious activities. Janaha, people in general. So we are hearing Devahudi continue to speak. Translation. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Translation responsively. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. However ignorant one may be regarding the path of good fortune and the path down to the However ignorant one may be regarding the path of good fortune and the path down to the darkest region of ignorance, everyone is aware of the influence of eternal time, which devours all the effects of our material activities. The body is born at a certain time, and immediately the influence of time acts upon it. From the date of birth of our body, the influence of death is also acting. The advancement of age entails the influence of time on the body. If a man is 30 or 50 years old, then the influence of time has already devoured 30 or 50 years of the duration of his life. Everyone is conscious of the last stage of life, when he will meet the cruel hands of death. But some consider their age and circumstances concern themselves with the influence of time and thus engage in pious activities, so that in the future they will not be put into a low family or an animal species. Generally, people are attached to sense enjoyment and so aspire for life on the heavenly planets. Therefore, they engage themselves in charitable or other pious activities. But actually, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one cannot get relief from the chain of birth and death, even if he goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, because the influence of time is present everywhere within this material world. In the spiritual world, however, the time factor has no influence. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation again. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Om Agana Timaranda Sajanandana Slakya Chakshu Ummilitam Jena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but by the mercy of my spiritual master, he is kindly forcing open my eyes with a torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Namo Om Vishnu Buddha Krishna Krishna Buddha Krishna Krishna. Oh, to be eternally youthful. Huh? Oh, to be eternally youthful. This is like we could say one of our goals, in a way, or what we desire, because that is our eternal nature. There's Sat, Chit, Ananda. This is what we actually are, to be eternally youthful. So we are actually eternal. It's just that we are so messed up with this false ego that we think that we are this bag of bone and bodily, this whole thing. So we're all a little bit messed up to some degree or other because of this ahankara. It cannot be overcome so easily, and I've mentioned many times before, Brahma, Indra, they're under the influence of this ahankara also. So we shouldn't be despondent that, I think I'm the body. Don't be too worried about that. What you should be worried about is chanting the holy names and engaging in devotional service, because these activities will give you a direct ticket back to the spiritual world. I was thinking with this whole time factor, say we were atheists and we just got this book and threw it away and we decided we're going to go back to the spiritual world on our own strength. Now, how long would it take us to get there? Like, we've been hearing in previous chapters, we were hearing about Brahma on the lotus, and then we heard about time and just inconceivable amounts of time within the material world, what to speak of eternity. So, even if we were atheists and we thought we could get there, we can't do this. So the intelligent class of people, and people in general, they accept that we're going to die. But as Prabhupada was saying here in the purport, we're attached to sense enjoyment. So therefore we come and do pious activities, we'll bring in make some offerings to the deities, and we'll come and offer prayers with the hope that we won't fall down into the animal species. That's somewhere where we don't want to go. But a lot of people are thinking, let's go to the heavenly planets. We can have our own flying palace, like we're hearing here of Kadama Muni, his amazing yogic cities and what enabled him to create, like it was 7 stories high, or just a floating palace. And what did he use it for? He used it for sense enjoyment. He went and found some very nice places with his wife, and they had all the maidservants, and they enjoyed sex life for 100 years. So they were also attached to some degree to sense enjoyment, but they were, like you could say, sober or wise, or there's so many words we could use. They knew about this impending death that is rapidly approaching. So we can even see with Kadama Muni, even having his own son as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, still he walked away because of impending time. He wanted to focus this mind on the next goal. So this is what we are trying to do, is focus our minds on the goal, and the easiest way to do that is chant Hare Krishna and engage in devotional service. It helps keep at bay all these material desires that are knocking on the door all the time, constantly knocking on this. Someone always knocking on the door with material desires. Feed me, sex desire, too hot, too cold, let's go see this, let's go smell that. Let's go hear this. There's all these things that are pulling us. Go do this, go do that. So this is our predicament. We don't want to go into the animal species, so we've got to perform pious activities and be righteous. And this chapter also very nicely, it's an explanation of devotional service, explains how we should be seeing the super soul in everyone's heart and respecting that and acting on that. Not just theoretical knowledge that yes, Krishna is in everyone's heart, but treating everybody with the utmost respect. And then also, giving and receiving of gifts, like it takes us to the nectar of instruction, where those 6 activities that are favourable for devotional service should be performed. So Rupa Goswami, he got the whole Srimad Bhagavatam and he condensed it down and made it very sweet and presented us the nectar of instruction. So those instructions are there on how to deal with devotees with the utmost respect, because this is the big, you could say, stumbling block on spiritual life, is that we become too familiar with the devotees. I know about her, I know about him, and then we start to judge, and I know about me, and then we think, and then we get all puffed up, and then pop, your bubble will be burst. Krishna will make sure that your bubble, if you're not respecting everybody properly, your journey is going to be hindered. It's almost like, you're just, You could use so many analogies on how you're pouring water on the fire, or you've pulled out, the mad elephant defense, which is a classic example. The mad elephants just ripped your garden to pieces. So this is what we have to be very wary of, is this whole dealing with the Vaishnavas as we're executing our activities or performing our pious activities. Because if we want to go to the heavenly planets, then you've still got to respect everybody. If you start disrespecting, the darkest regions of hell await thee. Like you'd say. So we have to be very, very conscious of our dealings with the devotees. They're like touchstones. So we need to give them that utmost respect because they're sacrificing their lives for the pleasure of Krishna. And this is the topmost thing, to go out there and distribute books, day after day after day, is the most pleasing activity to the Lord. So we've got to offer respects to those that are doing those activities. So this is how to overcome the time, is to, respect everybody, be a human being. It's like the Varnashram system is there for us. The Brahmacharya ashram is there, then the Grihastha, Vanaprast, and the sannyas right at the end of life. So this system is there to allow us to become prepared and detached for for what is real. We are not these bags of blood and bone, and Prabhupada was always just stressing that. Never was there a time that you did not exist, which is pretty cool, really, when you think about it. We've always existed, and we'll always continue to exist. It's just the scary thing is, where are we going at the time of death? We don't know where we're going to be going at the time of death, but we are fully responsible for where we go at the time of death. We cannot blame anybody else at the time of death. We can't turn around and go, well, it was that Prabhu, it's because of him. No. We have to be 100% responsible, because at the time of death, when the judgment comes, we can't blame anybody. We have to be fully accept that, yes, I did this, this and this. I'm a complete mudha, and I did that and that and that. So this is responsibility. So we've got to acknowledge that and therefore become responsible. Control the tongue, the vacho vegam, manasakroda vegam factor. Tongue, belly, genitals, these three must be controlled. But it's not easy. I can say that and go like this. I can say must be controlled. But then don't look at me. But this is how it is presented. I'm sitting here presenting what is being presented by Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, and all the previous acharyas. I'm not claiming that I've got control of my tongue, belly, and genitals. I'm not going to try and deceive anybody. They're very powerful, the senses and the mind. The tongue, the belly, the genitals. They're nasty. They're like snakes. But we just have to keep practicing, and practicing and try to become strong. We can do that with a bit of, breath restraint and yoga posture, contemplating, and also by studying these books. By studying Prabhupada's books, you get so much strength. I was remembering, I wasn't sure whether I was going to share this. Maybe I shouldn't because the video's on. No, wait, I'll save it for one day. You can ask me what I was going to say later if you like. But when I was because I was a brahmachari here for many years, and I used to work in the Gurukul. And every evening, I put all the boys to bed, like the little ones were going to bed at like 4:30, 5 o'clock because they'd been up all day for Mangalati, so that was their 12 hours. They were zonked. So then I'd get time to sit in the lounge over there and read Srimad Bhagavatam until my head started going like this, which usually wouldn't take very long, but I'll be sitting there reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So I got tested a few times as a brahmachari when I was sitting there in the evening in the lounge. I got some really big tests from Maya. But I was sitting there with the Bhagavatam and I just read some verses, so I was armed with the sword of knowledge and I was able to, I wouldn't say cut it down, but I was able to pass the test. They were very big tests. So this is what we have to do. We just have to apply ourselves to the process, take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's books, and you can actually become very strong. Just by, knowing a few verses about the Vacho Vegam and never was there a time that I did not exist, and Brahma, from the highest planet down to the lowest planet. If we get these verses and then we get some realization of these verses, then we can actually become quite powerful, in resisting the temptations of the material world. So this is what we have to try and it's like going to the gym every day. So just pick up the Bhagavatam every day or the Bhagavad Gita every day and do a bit of a workout, become stronger. so that you're able to deal with these tests when they come. Otherwise they'll come and we will fall down, and then we'll lose that opportunity to become great. We can still go back to Godhead, but when I'm saying great, we can become a great preacher. This is what we want to do as a service. It's not we're doing it for our own ego. We're doing it as a service to our Guru and to Srila Prabhupada. He wanted us to be great preachers. So we've got to do that through our actions and our words. I can do it very easily here by speaking, but then when I pay my obeisances and I get up and I walk away, I've also got to do it through my actions. So this is what we get tested with regularly. So it's something that we have to take seriously, because as ye sow, so shall ye reap. So if we do very nice activities to the devotees, we do nice service to the deities, then wonderful things will happen. Your bank balance will go up automatically. Well, that's my experience. I was here as a poor brahmachari, had no money, but I was doing sincere service, and then you get married, and then Krishna comes along and makes arrangements. There was also very testing times as well, but we shouldn't be overly concerned about our maintenance when it comes to having a relationship with the Lord, because He's maintaining everybody. So our maintenance shouldn't be so much of a concern. It was mine for many years as a grihasta. I was in so much anxiety about how am I going to maintain my family? How am I going to provide them with a house that is free from debt so that I can walk away? That was it may sound a little bit sort of harsh, but part of my mentality was, how can I become freehold so that I can walk away without any conscience? Because a father who leaves the son a debt is not a good thing. The father should never leave a debt to the son. So that was my whole thing, how can I get out of this? Well, I wasn't trying to get out of my married life, but I was looking further down the track thinking, I'm going to grow up, my son's going to grow up, and then I can become more detached again. So this is what we have to do, just make plans, but while we're making these plans, serve the Lord, because He will assist. He can make such crazy arrangements. You can get so much, by just the Lord's arrangement. I got given a very wonderful house for a very, very cheap price, and that was by the arrangement of the Lord. Somebody paid $1 million. I bought the house on that property for 10 grand. So this is, how do you do that? That's Krishna. The guy's just paid $1 million, and then I come along, because he was going to demolish the house. So I came along and said, can I buy the house that you've just bought, and I'll move it so that you can build your big palace, because he wanted to build something big and flash. He had just paid $1 million, and then I came along and paid 10 grand for his house and took the whole thing away, put it down, thank you very much. 200 square meters of just bliss. So that was Krishna's arrangement. He arranged that I got a very nice house very cheaply. Because I was always in anxiety when I was chanting my japa. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And Krishna said, watch this. And He just arranged it. I went into this thing and poof. So this is how the Lord arranges things. Inconceivably, He does it. We can have so many things that I think it's only going to go this way, but then someone will come along and something very wonderful will happen. So we shouldn't be in anxiety too much about how to maintain. Our biggest anxiety should be how to avoid offences, how to chant the holy name nicely, and then as time goes on, very rapidly, before we know it, that time will be coming, where, are we fully surrendered, or are we able to think of the wonderful form of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord? So we've got to practice this. Here, reading Krishna book, hearing about how Radha Giridhari lifts Govardhan Hill. We're so lucky that we've got such a famous personality here. In regards to Krishna's pastimes, like Radha Giridhari, that's one of the best pastimes, and all the residents are so dependent, and it's pretty full on, lifting Govardhan Hill. So we're so lucky that we've got Radha Giridhari here, so that we can always remember that pastime, at least. Such a wonderful pastime, and so much that went on, but famous. So even if we can just remember that, we are so fortunate. You remember that at the time of death and see what happens. Remembering Radha Giridhari, it's just like, as long as we haven't committed offences, everything else will be very sweet. So this is, I guess, my theme of the day is, don't become too concerned about everything. Just become careful of this mad elephant offence. Watch out for the mad elephant. God, if we imagine, you see in India sometimes the videos of the mad elephant, right? And they're picking up the little tatas and throwing them around and smashing all the bikes, and everyone's inside, and this elephant's just doing its thing. So we're lucky we haven't got elephants here. You can imagine one coming down the road with a big... So this is what we've got to look out for. Don't think a mad elephant's only in India. Those mad elephants dwell within, actually. There's a mad elephant inside, so you've got to have a big chain or a big stick to control that mad elephant within. And then if you can do that, then everything else is taken care of, pretty much. Come, take prasad, have a kirtan, associate with the holy name. Everything else is all pretty sweet. It's just that mad elephant that resides within us all that we have to be wary of. These are the teachings of Rupa Goswami. He's telling us, just be wary of these things. Everything else is nice. Cook giving and receiving of gifts. These are very nice exchanges between devotees, and you can feel it. When somebody gives you something, you feel very indebted, actually, to that person. It's a very sweet relationship, and for the rest of the day, they keep popping up in your head. So to do these sort of things actually helps us internally. These external activities of giving and receiving gifts actually helps us within to become very peaceful. And that was something that was just being mentioned in one of the previous, how to become peaceful. And it mentions in the Gita also, how do we become peaceful? It's not an easy thing if you're attached and trying to, have that demoniac mentality of, I've conquered this one, I've conquered that one, and this is my enemy, and I shall conquer him. This whole mentality is just so opposite of the sweetness of the mood of Vrindavan. The mood of just seeing Krishna everywhere. Like I'm sitting here now and seeing the super soul residing in everyone's hearts, and then respecting that. And then it becomes all very sweet. Whereas if I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, that one and this one, and fault finding and all these other demoniac or critical sort of mentality, it doesn't let you see the flower beds and the groves of Vraj. You can't see the sweetness and hear the tinkling of the stream and the birds and Krishna's flute in the distance. You can't have any of that in your meditation if you've got a critical mentality. You're just looking for faults. So we've got to give up the fault-finding mentality also. It's a very subtle science on how to train our mind. It's such a beast of a thing to try and control. It's the mind is quite an interesting energy. It's a material energy, and it's all being controlled by the Lord also. So we've just got to see these things in the mood of detachment. That the body does its things. It's affected by lust, greed, and anger, but just observe it instead of acting on it. Just observe the whole thing. Take a few breaths. Get a hold of your bead bag, go for a walk, whatever it is, chant Hare Krishna, and then these things come and go. So, how to remain Krishna conscious. It's actually be very easy if you're in the right mood. You just got to be in the right mood. You don't come here to conquer, you come here to serve. And then if you're coming here to serve, then the Lord becomes very pleased, and He makes wonderful arrangements for you. It's not that Krishna is just taking and not giving. He wants to give back to us. So we just have to give in a nice way and just be a little bit patient, and then He will make everything, all the arrangements. You get a nice husband, you don't know who he's going to be or what it's going to have. But Krishna can make these arrangements. You make him nice garlands and you offer them to him and you pray to him, then he can pull all the strings because he's in charge of every string as far as the puppets go. He's got the whole theatre sussed. He knows what's going on backstage, front stage. He's got it all down. So we just have to connect with him in a very nice, humble way, and then he will make all the arrangements. Okay, translation, please also describe eternal time, which I didn't really talk about much in this class, because it can be a little bit discouraging, but hey, we are beyond time. As long as we get that grasp, that we are eternal. Doesn't mean that we want to stick around here and take our time getting out. No, we've got to get out. It's like there's a fire. It's urgent. When there's a fire in this building, we push the alarm, right? So it's the same. This body is like on fire. Eternal time is waiting. It won't be long before you are put in the fire. So sound the alarm. There's a fire coming. It's called death. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Any questions or comments? Okay, that's my speculation. Okay, I said that Rupa Goswami has boiled down the Srimad Bhagavatam to present the nectar of instruction. Okay, so my reason for saying that is that the Srimad Bhagavatam is leading us to the 10th canto, which leads us to the pastimes in Vrindavan, right? And the pastimes in the Vrindavan we understand is so sweet, and then we understand that Radha Kund and Shyama Kund are also very, very sweet. And I've heard Dinabandhu actually. I was thinking many years ago when the Braj Parikram first started. I'm not sure whether he actually walked it as well. He may have. Back in the early days when we first started, there's only like 150 devotees or something, and we were all walking along. Anyhow, Dinabandhu was always popping up. I can't remember whether he was walking. He might have just been coming to all the different sites. And he said one thing he said was, Shyama Kund and Radha Kund are like the hub of the entire universe. Radha Kund, Shyama Kund. And so the Srimad Bhagavatam is narrating all the wonderful pastimes in Vrindavan and the pastimes that went on there. And I guess because we're in line with Rupa Goswami, who is Rupa Manjari, then the pastimes that are going on in these places are really the goal. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, the goal of the Bhagavatam is Vrindavan. The goal of the nectar of instruction is also Vrindavan. So it's like a condensed version on how to get there. And it's very concise, but also so potent. Like the Vacho Vegam, controlling the mind, the tongue, the belly, the 6 activities favourable and those that are unfavourable. Those things, if you just took those instructions fully, 100%, you would have no problems at all. So that's the nature of what Rupa Goswami has given us. He's given us such a condensed remedy to the problem. Taking the holy name, how we have jaundice. That is our problem, we've got jaundice. We're not tasting the sweetness. But keep doing it. Prabhupada was, again, a very simple instruction from Srila Prabhupada. Just chant Hare Krishna, always chant Hare Krishna, never forget Krishna. But doing that is we can't see what it is when we're chanting Hare Krishna. It is a very cleansing process. What to speak of doing it congregationally is even better. So that's why I said Srimad Bhagavatam is being condensed into the nectar of instruction because of the goal that it is aiming at and how to get there. All these instructions that we're hearing here and all the stories in the Bhagavatam. The fights between this one and that one, and the cursing and the counter-cursing and all that. Vacho Vegam, control your tongue, belly and genitals and you won't have these problems, like that. So that's why I said it. So that was my own, I guess, after 30 years of looking at it all, that's what sort of popped up and hit me in the face. Yes, one of my favourite book actually, Nectar of Instruction. If you just pick that up and just... Short and sweet, concise, but very condensed, like I say, very sweet.
I just have one comment.
Yes.
About your statement of how long it would take us to try and get there without Krishna on our own. There's probably one of the most intellectually powerful people I've met in Auckland is this past life yogi guy. He'll go 3 months without even talking to anybody. He's retired from business and he just walks the streets 10 hours a day. He's a total yogi. Except for he'll come and talk to the devotees because he sits at my table. Really the people he talks to. Anyway, and he sits at my table with me and we have various discussions, but he loves to show me like latest research, and he was showing me the latest research on that they believe the universe has no edge because they produce this computer generated picture of the universe as this kind of crazy sphere where the space and time probably curve back into the center. So the whole thing goes like this, like a basically think the universe has no edge. So good luck getting out without Krishna.
And when we're saying no edge, we know that it's egg-shaped. We're talking about the universe and the outer...
Actually, this picture was kind of, it's not an egg, but it's kind of a not perfect sphere shape to it.
Yeah.
So, even the scientists know that you can't actually find the edge of the universe to get out much enough with your material consciousness, much less...
Yeah. But even if we could give them a map and say, this is what it all looks like, here you go, here's the coordinates, set your ship or whatever it is to get out. But then we understand the layers outside that. Earth, and then 10 times bigger. Water, and then 10 times more earth. And the layers get thicker and thicker and thicker. So we're thinking, oh yeah, we'll just pierce the covering of the universe, but no. So we can't get out. We are prisoners, and this is the ultimate prison. And it's very dark too. It's a dark place. We should remember that also. It's very, very dark. It's only by the mercy of the Lord that we have the sun globe going throughout the universe. Well, I say that. That's something that I've read also. There's different theories about that as well. We won't get into that. Is this the earth or is this the sun? But anyhow, yes, so we're entrapped here. We've got to acknowledge that. And we can't get out. Well, we can by controlling the mind. Our mind is going to take us to our next destination. So become Krishna conscious. Go to the best place within all existence. Go there. Go to Vrindavan. That's where so we just got to get the realization that Vrindavan is the best place. So this takes time, for Krishna to give us those realizations. Where is the best place? And it's eternal, which is the best part. So this time factor is eliminated straight away. Because that is another thing. This is something we're constantly, I guess you could say, well, we're in Bayam, this fear. We're always fearful because of the time. Constantly anxiety, not enough time in the day. That's the story of everyone's life, isn't it? I was just hearing it before I came down. That's the cause of many accidents, actually. People have got too much to do, and they're rushing, and when you're rushing, that's when you have an accident. So we're all rushing. But what are we rushing for? And where are we rushing to? Become a yogi. Just sit there and meditate on Krishna. So yeah, it's a very dynamic thing that we have. We just have to try and realise it. And the thing about realising is it never ends also. We get this realisation and that realisation, it gets better and better. So this is how it goes on. Okay, I'll leave it there. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi.